strong performance from the players in front of a 5,800 person crowd to close the inaugural season. Talk about tonight as a whole from your perspective.
Yeah, I think if we have 10 more minutes, the game ends very different. I think we were pushing. I think the fans got into it towards the last 10 minutes of the game, like really into it. I think we start pushing, we start knocking, we start creating a little bit more results than the beginning of the second half. I thought was a little bit of a lull for us, not really creating as many chances as we need to. And then again, 10 minutes there at the end of the game, if we could steal 10 more. I was hoping we were to see a bigger number on that stoppage time. But I mean, I think ultimately to be back at home, to wrap up our season at home and not on the road for us is huge. Yeah, obviously not the result that we wanted, but I thought we created dangerous chances. I thought we created a fun atmosphere during the game, and the fans seemed appreciative. So we'll take that as a win.
Hannah Heaton capped off a great season with some powerful play tonight. Talk about what you saw from her.
Yeah, Hannah was great. We had in the first half, we had to move her out wide to try and mix some things up, try and get Connor closer to the ball. We lost a little bit with not having Hannah in the midfield, but she almost stole 2 goals there at the end of the half in the first half. And so for us, Hannah, I mean, all of our midfielders honestly are a little bit more like unsung heroes, I would say, of like they're everywhere. You don't really realize how much work they're doing until at one point you look and you're like, God, they're exhausted. Hannah was box to box for us, created a ton of dangerous opportunities. Obviously, the goal for us was one that I think we've seen the exact same play a couple times that we didn't finish. So if we talk about the longevity of what we're trying to build here in Richmond, to have us finish a goal that we probably didn't finish 3 weeks ago is huge.
Speaking of Kana, she had another really active night. She's providing the hockey assist on the first goal, assisting the second. Talk about what she brings to this attack.
Kana's great. There was a moment where I think she was going to go up and try and bike the ball, and I think City Stadium would not have quieted I think we probably would still hear them screaming, quite honestly. Kana's a fan favorite. She's a great kid, great person, but ultimately like just a great athlete, great player. She's brought a lot to us this entire season, but tonight, again, you're moving her around, trying to plug her in. That was sort of why we moved Hannah out wide. We moved Hannah out wide so we get Kana closer to the ball. I thought we created some chances when we got her close to the ball. So ultimately for me, Kana's a game changer, and we've seen that all season.
And then pivoting to this community, 5,800 fans tonight, 29,000 roughly on the season. Talk about this, this fan base and this community and what that means to you and to this team.
It's hard to describe. I think if you ask me, like, is this what I expected? I would love to say, like, yeah, this is exactly what I thought we would get out of Richmond. It far exceeded everything I could have expected. And I think the best 2 quotes I'll give you for the night, one was a young girl very early in the stands that I walked up to and very confident. She goes, "That's going to be me one day." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I want you to write my name down because I'll see you in 5 years." And I literally wrote her name down. And so like that was part one. And then I get to the other end of the stadium and there's a mom who has tears in her eyes and she says, "Thank you so much for doing this." And I was like, "Yeah, we appreciate everything you've given to us." And she says, No. These girls are sitting here and they actually believe that will be them one day. So thank you for bringing that to Richmond. And for me, like to be able to build that in Richmond, to be able to provide that for young females where they see themselves in the community, like the community sees themselves on this field, that's why we did it. And I think for me, just incredibly thankful. You hear it from the fans how thankful they are for us, but I think ultimately it's very much so. We're very thankful for what Richmond helped us build this season, and we're super excited for the next one.
Thank you.
You touched on it already. How fun was that energy in the last few minutes, and how fitting of an end to your home finale was that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like if I think back to the first game, I vividly remember the "Let's Go Ivy" chant, and it started again. Only there was 2 of them going at the same time, and it's so like you can't describe it. It is just so fun. There's so much energy. We talk about it when we go on the road. Of like it's hard for us to play on the road because we get so much energy from our fans here that we have to sort of bring our own energy and then match it with the fans when we come back home. And so, I mean, the girls have talked about it. I've talked about it. It's just been incredible. It's been an incredible experience. It's been so fun.
Any moments that you're able to pick out from the season that stand out and will stand out most in your memory as the ones that you'll cherish the most?
The biggest ones, I mean, I heard a bunch tonight of like, "We'll see you next year. We want a longer season." Like the fans, we've got new fans that have never watched soccer before. We've got fans that have watched the Kickers Pro team play, and now they're Ivy fans as well. And we've got Ivy fans that are now going to be Kickers Pro fans. And for me, like, that is it. I think the most memorable is probably the quotes that I've heard multiple times this year, just as the young players that see themselves in these girls. And you can't ask for anything better.
And Coach, congratulations on a great season. And then you said everybody excited for next year. How does the offseason look for you at this moment? Is it going to be a situation where how will you kind of reflect on this year and how will, as far as focus on 2025, when that will start?
That's a great question. I mean, I think part one is obviously all these girls are going to go back and they're going to go play for their colleges. Ava, for example, I talked to her 2 weeks ago. I talked to her college coaches a couple days ago out in Seattle, and the biggest thing there is like we want these players to take the confidence that they've gotten from this season and the fun and the atmosphere. And you think about a player like Kana, who is celebrating with the fans, and her teammates at VCU were like, she doesn't do that at VCU. I hope I watch her play this season. I hope she does do it at VCU. That's what I hope. And so for me, I think it's, yes, we'll take a little bit of downtime, but I think it's right. Immediately, we're focusing on the next season of, you know, players we're bringing back. Which players do we want to go get? We need a true goal scorer that's going to score goals every single game. And so like we know the types of players that we need to start to go after. And now it's all about going and finding them during their college seasons, and then we start to build a next season's roster as well, adding on to what we've done this season.
All right, Coach. From day zero to now, I want to ask you, like, how do you think you have grown as a coach? And how would you, when you get a moment, how will you sit back and reflect on how you have grown?
That's an unbelievable question. You know, it's funny. I've been asked, like, what do I write in my notebook during the game? And a lot of it's thoughts of, like, what's going on throughout the game, but I also write after the game just reflections for myself. What could I have done better? Reflections for the players, obviously, like, what things could we have done better? It's interesting kind of going from this game to the youth game and back. It's been a crazy long week of, we started last Friday with this, I went and coached some youth, and now I'm back here. I mean, I think that a couple of things. One, I've learned how to coach when I can't coach over the flow because it's so loud behind me, which is a great problem to have. You learn to kind of how you quickly get information to players, which is something in the youth game I haven't had to worry about. And so for me, it's just a ton of growth thinking about, like, how do you communicate with players really effectively, quickly, and then how do you build really fast cultures with your team so you can hit the ground running, because that's what we did this season. And so where you're typically used to, you know, you've got a 9-12 month season to kind of build and kind of have some continuity, we now want to go on a break. And so for me, the biggest thing is, you know, how do you start on May 1 and immediately hit the ground running? And so we could play a game on May 5th and it not be a problem. We don't have to wait till the 11th, because there was a stretch of, I don't know, 10 days that we played 4 games back to back to back. And so ultimately, I think for me, it's been an incredible experience as a coach. It's been an incredible experience just as a human, I think.
And also, we know a lot doesn't get talked about, but like the backroom staff, the coaching staff, how important were they to your growth and your team's growth throughout the season?
It's, you know, it's interesting in the youth game, you don't typically have that size of staff with you, and so you learn how to utilize, like, that was one of the biggest things I picked up this season, is how do you utilize the people that are here to help, and they want to help and they want to offer support. And so I think the entire coaching staff, for me, I think our relationship grew throughout the season, just of how we lean on each other, how do we get information, how can they step in if I'm not here, for example. And so, like, they've been great. Madeline's been fantastic, just of, like, helping build the roster during the off season as well, and kind of building things up. But then you look at, like, the entire back office staff we don't create an environment like this without them. And I mean that from top to bottom. This doesn't happen without the support that we've had. And so incredibly appreciative, obviously, of the fans that have built the things. And, like, those are the players, the fans, those are the things you see every day. You don't see the people that are doing all the things behind the scenes. And for me, I think they are the shining stars of this.
Thank you so much, Coach.